What if product market fit wasn't just luck, but something that you could actually predict? Is it possible to know before you even build and launch whether your product will resonate with customers? Does entering at the low end of a market make success more predictable? And with AI now mapping markets into micro segments, can we finally see exactly where early adopters will come from? Today I'm joined by market guru and co-host Linda Ginger, and together we'll discuss whether product market fit can be predicted. So stick around because you'll hear some critical go-to-market tips that get you rapid adoption. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Let's go. Linda, you're the market guru. If I was to ask you if product market fit can be predicted, what would you say?
Well, I'd say it definitely can be predicted, Trevor. And thanks for having me on the show. And
You're
look, and
welcome.
why I can say, well, why I can make that statement with such certainty is that if an innovator can't nail that product market fit, the odds of that fantastic idea being commercialized and launching into the market are very low.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, Trevor, I am very encouraged. So I'm
Uh-huh.
experiencing, I don't know whether it's the same for you, but I've been experiencing lots more conversations with innovators about product market fit, which I think is great. We need to increase the conversation. And I think also that the emergence of AI tools, just like Galileo Live, really help innovators actually discover their green jelly bean markets. So, which is also a very exciting, positive step to increasing that successful, innovation outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, first of all, I mean, it's great that you're seeing that focus, Linda, and I'd agree with that. There does seem to be, I don't know, a greater emphasis on building on the necessity of product market fit. But what do you think is the key to finding product market fit?
I think it's a bit of a mindset, I guess, or maybe
Mhm.
it's a better understanding. So if you thought of markets as just a system of unmet needs, probably is the first thing to be thinking of. And then if
Agree.
you can get clarity around that jobs to be done and who struggles with it most, your chances of finding product market fit are really, in my opinion, are greatly enhanced. And I guess you mentioned too that you've been seeing
Yeah.
people talking about product market fit more as well. So do you think that founders or product developers still treat product fit as a bit of a mystery or gut feel?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. I think sometimes founders confuse enthusiasm with evidence. They fall in love with their solution rather than the actual problem. And so, without structured frameworks like jobs to be done and disruption strategy, it's really easy to fall into relying on our intuition. We all do it, Linda. It's
Mm,
just a human trait.
yeah.
But really, a structured, evidence based process produces faster and better decision making.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I often say to the startups that I mentor, think about your idea like a science experiment. You just have an hypothesis and you're out there to validate it and invalidate. And I think if you have that mindset, it actually does, it helps you have more of a structure around it.
Absolutely. And I think what I love about how we're able to help customers or our clients is that once they actually really get deep into the jobs to be done and the unmet needs, they begin to see the commonality within those sub markets, and
Hmm.
it's all about having a higher probability of where that product market fit is going to be initially. Linda, here's a question for you. From a market perspective, what criteria must be present before we even talk about predictability?
I think there's three. One is having clear, measurable, unmet needs.
Yeah.
Two is an underserved or non-consumptive market segment. We can talk
Yes,
about that
love
a
that
bit
one.
later. And then really, I think that one of the really cool ones is when you're seeing customers hacking together a, a solution with, to address that job to be done, that's always a signal to me too that this is some great criteria to know that you've landed in a good spot.
Well, we actually did one fairly recently, didn't we? Where the interviews, the qualitative interviews, it was a mishmash of everyone trying to use 5 or 6 different tools to try and get that job done. And it came through very strongly that they just
Mm.
wanted it to all be in one place and all integrated perfectly. So let's now just move across into, the type of markets that we go into, Linda. How does entering the low end or non-consumption market create predictability?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And it's a great question. And there's actually quite a bit of quantitative research around this specific question.
Mm.
We know that low end markets are less defended, so the
Yep.
adoption barriers are lower. Incumbents, they tend to ignore these segments. So this makes absolutely fertile ground for new entrants.
I guess that's, because they're not real profitable to those big incumbents because of all their
That's right.
bureaucracy and so on. Yeah, that's
Yeah, they're
interesting.
probably painful in actual fact.
Yes. Yes.
And then I think also predictability comes from seeing that real demand. It's bubbling under the surface. If you can start seeing that too, I think that is always a good signal as well. And those
Yeah.
non-consumptive markets, if you can identify those and see that happening, I think that's a good sign as well.
So if you had to map out the key signals that a market is really primed, what would you say the top 3?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sort of harks back a little bit, I guess, to the earlier
Yes.
thing where customers are spending more time on clunky workarounds. So they're
Yeah.
trying to get the solution done. They're dissatisfied with the current options, whether they're too expensive, too complex, or they're just not easily accessible. And
Yes.
then demand is fragmented. So there's not one dominant player owning the actual problem.
Yeah, and look, we see that a fair bit with the fragmented markets, and that is something to look for, isn't it, in the market? That
Yeah,
when you see
it
that
is.
sort of fragmentation, it's actually
That's right.
quite an opportunity.
Well, it's fun exploring them. Come on.
Yeah,
You and I know
absolutely.
you mentioned we had some recent opportunities to help a couple of startups to find their ideas ideal market, which was a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah.
and you always do a great job on that, Trevor.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
So if we can get that criteria, the chances of finding product market fit, um, what chances do? Well, I should be putting it back on you. What do you think? If we can, does it enhance that getting that customer criteria to helping find product market fit?
Yeah, I think what it does, Linda, is it just really narrows the focus because
Mm.
when you're in startup phase, you're not wanting to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to build some
You
monolithic
haven't got
thing
it.
that's for everyone, right? Yeah, exactly. So by having a real narrow focus, you can really get in there and understand who's feeling the pain most intensely. It also avoids wasting time on very broad, uninterested audiences. When we talk about the multicolored jelly bean jar, that's full of lots of people in there who just aren't actually interested. I think by having a really narrow focus, it also increases the learning speed because when you're talking to customers that have got those common jobs to be done and common problems, it just means that they're giving you much clearer feedback. And when we
Mm,
get a consolidation that everyone is saying, yes, this is a job I'm trying to get done, I'm so frustrated with it, then that's really the sort of validation that you're looking for.
yeah, and they're much easier to work with too. So,
Absolutely.
have you noticed that sometimes when startups are getting like customer feedback, they get what I would call the vanity signals? And if and what would advice would you give to know the difference between, those vanity signals and actually what might be predictive signals around whether that's the right market they should be focusing on.
So to me, vanity signals equals people saying, great idea, but not actually committing. So,
Mm,
predictive signals are where we get a willingness to pre-order or sign pilot agreements, or where they're really um, keen to change their behavior because they realize what they've been doing isn't working well for them. So, true prediction comes from observing what people do, not just what they say. So,
mm,
that's why we really love to do that qualitative research, talk to your market, but don't just take it on the basis of what they're responding to you. Actually get
mm,
in there and observe what they're doing, particularly with your MVP.
mm. It's like about Galileo Live. So, how do you think Galileo Live really changes the game for predicting product market fit?
To begin with, I think it removes the guesswork, Linda, by providing
Yeah.
a real structured approach to finding product market fit. Thinking about, what are the jobs to be done and documenting them, and then moving to another exercise to identify what are the problems, what are the unmet needs, the frustrations, the risks that people are actually experiencing trying to get that job done. So, when you do those sort of things, we've experienced it in our workshops, Linda, whereby when people start to really document down all those jobs and all the unmet needs, you can see their confidence starting to growing, their excitement. And then when we move over again into ideal customer criteria, then that allows us to really deeply explore markets in real time to pinpoint, you know, where are those green jelly beans? So
Mm.
yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is a cool process, even if I do say so myself. And I guess one of the other benefits, Trevor, is that innovators then have the ability to validate their hypothesis before committing to those big spends that, firstly, they haven't got the big money to be able to do that, but it does prevent, even if you invalidate the idea or have to pivot somewhere else, you're not making those big expenditures at that time.
It's all about lean startup methodology and
Mm,
just, only spending money when you've validated through each of the eight stages of the launch formula.
mm,
So, prediction doesn't eliminate risk, but it reduces the blind spots. And that's always very beneficial because as you're going step by step, you're making sure that you're getting rid of those blind spots and being able to move forward with confidence.
mm. And I think too, AI tools just speed up the identification, and the the qualitative research then still validates what that reality is, isn't it?
I mean, remember the old days, how much time we had to go through
The
to do
whiteboard and
these
the
sort of
marker
things.
and all the domain experts in one room.
Exactly. And trying to actually piece together, well, first of all, what are these markets? Yet
Yeah,
what we're able to do in like literally seconds, Linda, is to find those markets. And
yeah.
and the best prediction comes from combining AI data with human insights, which is why we love our clients that they come in and we treat them as the domain experts. So, Linda, what is one killer statement for innovators to take away from this episode, do you think?
You've probably said it a million times before in the other episodes, is stop chasing the big markets. It's just such a natural thing for us to do. We want to get there fast, but predicting product market fit is about finding a small niche market where you can actually win in the very beginning, get traction from there and expand out. It also enables you to be very clear on your messaging, very targeted, etc. So, yep, my big thing,
Yeah.
stop chasing big markets.
Yay! Let's get that message through.
Okay, and one killer methodology for founders, Trevor?
Oh, most definitely. Define your ideal customer, validate the unmet needs, and enter where the incumbents don't care. If you steal their customers, their low-end clients, they'll actually be very grateful to you. But you go try and steal their profitable clients, they'll
They'll
come
kill you.
back at you with a baseball bat, right? So that's definitely it's the formula for predictable product market fit, that's for sure.
So it's not random luck after all. It's measurable.
It's predictable and it's repeatable with the right frameworks and the tools. So
So there you
that's
go.
been a really wonderful discussion, Linda. The future of prediction, is actually already here. So if you know how to look for it, then, product market fit isn't an actual roll of dice. You know, you can uncover unmet needs, define your ideal customer, and start at the low end where the incumbents don't care. So very predictable, absolutely. So if you are an innovator or startup founder, take this as your challenge. Stop chasing the whole market and instead find the sub-market where prediction becomes reality. Linda, thanks for joining us. It's just been a pleasure having you on here again.
Thank you, Trevor.
So make sure you subscribe and let us know what you got out of this episode in the comments below. Do you think product market fit is predictable? We look forward to seeing you in the next episode of that Product Market Fit Guide podcast. Ciao for now.